strategic placement. And the MCR carbine in C tier. Armor piercing's great, but the recoil, it ain't it. The Idiot Party probably has one of the weirdest and most dangerous map layouts. Making your way down through the levels, eventually you'll hit a dead end. So the only way to make progress is to jump from one window to another to keep going. You can try to use this rotating platform that looks like it was straight out of Total Wipeout, but if you miss, you'll hit the bottom layer. And instead of dying of full damage, you'll be thrown into orbit at aggressive speeds that even something like the Gripendix can't stop you from turning into a mushy paste. In classic Cruelty Squad fashion, there's an invisible platform you can use that no one mentions, and you'll probably find it on complete accident. At least in Dark Souls or Elden Ring, you'd see a message from another player saying, yep, you can use this. And then usually in front of them, you'd have an immediate message calling them a liar. Walking across this invisible platform, you can enter a room with a new gun on the floor. The security system's Cerebral Bore. Probably the most unique looking gun in the game, being made of mostly flesh. Saying in the weapon's description, it's a vat-grown bioweapon. It fires orbs that will track anything nearby except yourself and armored targets. If it finds someone, it will burrow into their head, eventually decapitating them. It only has one round, but will replenish ammo from you, so you'll lose 2 HP every time you fire it. Now, the way I'm explaining it, it does sound like a bit of a gimmick weapon, but it has one really unexpected advantage, because the bore itself has a lock-on ability, so you don't actually need to see your target to make a kill. Trust me when I say this, use this gun like you're playing the demo man in Team Fortress 2. Shoot it around a corner, and there's a pretty high chance that it'll seek out an enemy and draw their head off without you having to do anything. Obviously not based off any real-world gun yet, but it's probably more close to the Cerebral Bore weapon in Turok 2. The guns look nothing alike, but functional, they're pretty much the same thing. One thing that's interesting is going into the game's files, the ball itself is actually the same texture as the Bioslave, the people that were grown just for sex in the Seaside Shock level. So this could be yet another use for that lab-grown meat. It would be a B-tier gun, but again, it's useless against armored enemies like golems and necromechs. I assume because there's so little brain left, it really doesn't have anything to bore into. So for that reason, I'll stick him down in C tier. Little fella. There's also another implant you can get in the Idiot Party as well. The same suit the shock troopers wore at the Alpine Hospitality. Entering a library near the base of the fort and walking across another invisible walkway, it's a torso implant that will make you completely immune to fall damage. If you hold jump when you land, you can actually bounce from the impact, which you can use for some sick B-hop strats. Even being referred to as it being used for the next generation of orbital drop shock troopers. You heard it here first. Halo ODST and Cruelty Squad are in the same universe. Confirmed. Game theory, seal of approval. You know what? No. Angry Joe, badass seal of approval. It's a great way to practice speedrunning because you can synergize this with the Gripendix. So, for its pretty late game use, I'll give it a B tier. After finally making it to the bottom layer, you can find your target, called the High Priest. I'm very sure it's intentional that he shares the exact same model as your landlord did a couple levels before. He won't have any unique dialogue, but killing him, you're one step closer to obtaining unlimited power. But before that, there's another secret level here, and this one is easily my favorite. If you ignore the fort entirely and go through the back, you'll find a smaller entrance with a broken elevator. Halfway down, you'll find a blue suit guarding a door that you need a divine link to open, which, if you don't have one now, you'll have to go back into a previous level and beat it on punishment difficulty. Opening the door, there's a single Gutworks worker there next to the painting.
Good timing. I just now applied the finishing touches to this place.
I'll admit, it is strange seeing a Gutworks worker in an area you're not really supposed to. But I think in a more wider sense, they're actually meant to be the literal janitors or the architects of the Cruelty Squad world. I like to imagine that these are the people who clean up after you when you complete each mission. Either people you've killed or people that have killed you. In more of a fourth wall sense, they could be the ones actually making each level for you to play, or even a self-insert from Ville. It's never obviously stated, but even the official Cruelty Squad Discord server has the mods role being called Gutworks. They're janitors. truly the saddest of all things. And you know what the worst thing is? They do it for free. Going into the painting, we're taken to the last secret level. Neuron Activator. The level, if anything, probably gets its name from the amount of times you'll be torn to shreds while having an epileptic seizure from all the flashing lights. This map is split into two parts. A huge multi-story club with different dance floors, VIP areas, and the leftovers of the idiot party and a manager's office, and the other part being the surrounding streets outside it. It's one of the more unique maps, and it's one of the few maps with no actual skybox, but instead taking place entirely inside a cave that people have chose to live in. It's slightly based off the real-life Kai nightclub in Helsinki, Finland, where Ville, the game's developer, is originally from.
Bruh.
Kai meaning echo in English. And that's the name of the club in bright neon letters right outside the main entrance. The mission brief even confirms this mission takes place in Finland.
The former public housing ecology in Helsinki has recently enjoyed a bit of a housing market boom as a result of the biological weapons accident, wiping out 99% of the population. The new residents enjoy the rough, authentic vibe of the city and spend their nights partying in the former industrial district. The survivors of the depopulation incident and the relatives of the dead have successfully hosted a crowdfunding campaign to get rid of the key people behind their misery. It is rare for us to do this kind of thing for people of working class background, but money, like love, is blind and based on transactions.
I love how possibly tens of thousands of people dying isn't called a tragedy, but a depopulation incident. The clinical speak here really isn't too dissimilar from the Combine in Half-Life. Also, got to appreciate the commentary there, how no matter how disheveled and run down an area is, people will still use it for late night partying. That's why places like Berghain in real life thrive. A club in Berlin, Germany that is so hard to get into, you'll see YouTubers do a test to see if they'll get past the doorman and have a 100% fail rate.
I'm from here, dude. I'm jamming. Oh, come on, dude.
Clubbing in Berghain usually starts on Saturday and doesn't end until Monday, and some of the clubbers in the mission reference this directly.
You know, if you keep it up, you can just, like, keep doing this shit forever. Like, this place never closes, you know, right? So you can just take a hit of gore and keep going. I've been here for weeks.
Also, it isn't too well known, but Berghain was originally a male fetish club before being open to the general public. And going into one of the side rooms in the club, you can see a naked NPC with a bioslave. You know, the guys that have such low IQ that they communicate just by screaming. By the way, if you want to get into Berghain, it's not at all how you act. You just need to dress like someone who listens to Bladey and Aphex Twin 24/7. So someone like me or someone that watches me. It's not too hard. But before going into the club, Kai, if you go to the right from spawn, you can enter a bank. Inside, you'll see some armed tellers and security. Going past them, you'll have a corridor of doors looking like it's from a Scooby-Doo chase montage. Now, I don't want to alarm you, but every single one of these doors, except the right one, has a golem behind it. And if any of the golems hear another one being attacked, they'll all break down the doors and start chasing you. So, in reality, it kind of is like a Scooby-Doo chase, if Scooby-Doo was forced to watch the HBO spin-off Velma for more than 12 seconds. One of these doors will lead you into a bank vault. Breaking into it, there's around $26,000. But the real money is in the corner of the room. If you crouch, you can clip through the wall and find $1 million, represented by this gelatinous meat cube. If anything, it reminded me of the meat cube they shown off in 2008 for that Gears of War tech demo. Just before we get into the club, Neuron Activator has something really weird. Something that isn't in other maps, and that's a random encounter boss fight. Around the back of the club, there's an NPC that can spawn. He looks like a Gutworks worker, but has a slightly deformed face and runs incredibly fast. Even using your fastest movement implants, he'll be able to catch up to you instantly. Also, this guy, for some reason, has around 2,000 HP, so good luck trying to kill him. I mean, you could just shoot him in the head, because Ville forgot to code damage to the head done, so it's an instant kill. But you didn't hear that from me. When you eventually down him, he's named as Freak. And because he was named, like other NPCs that are named, once you kill him, he's permanently removed from the game. If you're on the lowest difficulty, you can even eat his body multiple times for health until he turns into Gibbs. I'm not even going to put this one on the tier list or try and do some lore analysis. It's just fucking weird. This is also one of the few levels that doesn't really have too much of a soundtrack. You'll hear a slow droning sound occasionally in the background, but the soundtrack for this level is mostly diegetic because as you get closer to the club, you can hear the actual level soundtrack more and more until you're finally inside. And this is the single instance of the game's soundtrack working against you. Combined with the flashy lights and low poly detail, it's incredibly hard to make anyone out. And the new enemy of this level takes full advantage of this. The final employee of Security Redefined, the Nailer. He's the cousin to the Elite, usually dotted around the levels. The only difference is they always have a baseball cap and the Security Redefined logo on their back. You'd be able to spot them normally, but on the dance floor, they blend in incredibly well. So you'll have to slowly pick them off like you're playing Where's Wally. Or you could, you know, game end everyone inside the club because there's not really any penalty for that. They have zero armor. They're not stronger than even the starting security in Pharmakinetics, but the weapon they have is easily one of the best in the entire game. The Parasonic MP1 Nailer, the third and final Parasonic weapon in the game. It fires ultra-high velocity flechettes at an incredibly high rate of fire. For comparison, each magazine has 100 rounds, and it only takes about 2 seconds to empty the entire magazine.
I guess you could say I just want to have a meaningful relationship with someone special.
Also, it's silenced because the guards using it want to take out their targets without causing a scene. But in your hands, it's the best stealth weapon in the game, having a laser sight like the D2 starter pistol, meaning incredible recoil control and spread. And also, because the nails are coated in depleted uranium, it's armor piercing. So even necromechs and golems will eventually get put to sleep. This is a weapon I still use now, even when replaying the game. It's incredibly versatile, and even with its ridiculous ammo count, it can still kill most unarmored enemies in a single shot to the head. The only issue with it is without the ammo gland, you'll basically never find more ammo for it outside this level because the gun is so unique. But overall, I gotta put it in S tier. It's an amazing gun, and if not your main gun, it's a great sidearm. If you manage to go around the club without shooting everyone, you can talk to some of the local Finnish people to see what their thoughts are on letting everything loose. Most of them completely unable to separate relaxing from work, somehow melding the two together.
Biogenetic value accumulation. I'm transacting value to everyone around me. I'm keeping my body primed and my mind sharp. All of my coworkers want to fuck me. I'm here to increase my libido.
You could even meet someone in here so noided that they realize that they're in a video game.
Theory time. U.S. civilians are a writhing mass of flesh, vaguely connected by a vegetative, psychological link. Our value is determined by an extra-dimensional being who is toying with us. We have no capacity for thought. We're simply an ecosystem of flesh.
Eventually, going through all the dialogue, you'll have a chance to trigger easily my favorite line in the entire game.
When the beat drops, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
By the way, he's literally me. Please also comment down below if you are literally this person.
Oh, you don't even smile.
Your targets for this map are real estate flippers, each wearing a green shirt and having random dialogue. They're the people who caused the death of the 99% of people in the area.
Just to finish it off, why don't you give me a swift kick in the balls?
You are 1 second late on rent. Die!
So, in an incredibly rare instance, you're actually doing some good for the world. Your last target will probably be the club manager in his office, but he's being protected by a new enemy, the Flesh Pig. The only way I can explain this enemy is basically a vegan's nightmare. They're cubes of flesh, not even resembling a pig, and being on 4 legs. Once they spot you, they'll become invisible, similar to your stealth suit, and rapidly charge at you, dealing insane damage. If that wasn't bad enough, as a parting gift, they'll also give you toxic shock if they bite you. So usually you'll be rammed once or twice and the poison will finish you off. They have no armor, but incredibly high health. Now, my game theory behind this enemy is because it's already been established that meat is basically its own currency because of all of its uses. This was a way for companies to store semi-sentient meat in an efficient way until it was used for something else, like a bioslave or weaponry. And an explanation for why they go invisible and attack you is because you're not attacking a flesh pig, you're actually attacking someone's personal investment. So they've put in some countermeasures to stop you from doing that. I sound like a complete schizo, but yeah, A tier. They're pretty scary, even if they're very infrequent. After the flesh pig, you can reach the manager's office and you can actually talk to him.
Whoa, you look cool. I'm Earl. I run this freaking epic club complex. It used to be a factory of some sort, but now it's been cleaned up and looks fucking sick. I bought like half of this ancient archaeology, and it's made me rich as fuck. Fast cars, luxury vodka, gaming biopod, you name it, I have it. I've already set my eyes on another one of these archaeologies. I can't believe no one else has come up with this business yet. It's so easy. And 100% legal. I have party syndrome.
On his PC screen, he has the screensaver of a happy face with the caption Life. Many powerful or rich characters have this symbolism near them in Cruelty Squad. Life is so cheap that the rich seem to semi-sarcastically plaster it around everywhere because it means nothing to them. Killing Earl, we're one step closer to achieving total enlightenment. Office is where we take the fight to our employers directly, your handler making even less sense than the last main mission brief, with the only target here being pain.
You have to return the four sub-archons to Null. You have to eliminate the cat Elsa Holmes, exterminate the pests, Kira Hole in control, font control. You can do this. You have rendered the wires in your head. Your control over destiny is absolute. You can overpower death. Life is meaningless.
Elsa Holmes was the archdemoness we were told about in the casino mission. Someone so powerful that she had the head of a casino killed just because she lost her money there.
Are you a manager? Who's the manager?
The brief sounds mostly nonsense, but it'll all make sense soon. Starting on a park bench similar to the Hitman Sapienza mission, best new Hitman mission ever, by the way, you can see the office building. It's a towering monolith. And if you're wondering, yes, pretty much every single floor is explorable.
12, whatever.
The ground floor is covered by heavy security and golems. Nothing we haven't seen before, but the statue in the center shows a figure textured in the Divine Light hood overlay. This company values it because, as we've already established, being in Divine Light, you're not just alive, you're pushing life to its limits, experiencing new things, as opposed to Power and Misery, where you're just a disgusting flesh cannibal devoid of your own thought. On top of the statue, you can find another implant, the Funk Grunters. These are a direct upgrade to the Gunk Boosters, giving you the ability to do a triple jump. Apparently these things aren't too popular due to the large uncomfortable container sacks installed below the buttocks. These are one of the best implants you can get to synergize with the Gripendix, because pretty much no matter what height you fall from, spamming this will negate the fall damage. And even without the Gripendix, a triple jump is very useful to reach areas you couldn't on your own. Or you could use the third jump to course correct when you're about to miss a ledge. Overall, A tier. Great equipment to use in previous levels. Because the majority of this level is set in an office, you can speak to the workers here, mostly devoid of any joy, and pray every day that some catastrophe happens so they don't have to work. Out of everything we've seen in Cruelty Squad, this is the one aspect in real life that is not exaggerated.
All our systems have been down today because of a logic bomb activated by a former developer. I'm not supposed to say this, but I'm glad it happened.
What? Fucking piece of shit computer.
There's a multitude of different backgrounds working here. You even have the average Steam reviewer trying to run the latest game on a 2012 laptop.
They're saying that Gorbino's Quest doesn't run on my PC because of the game engine. I'm not having that. I'm gonna leave a negative review.
Also, remember earlier on I talked about NPCs having basically no pathfinding and they just walk into water? Well, that kind of applies here as well. If you break any of the windows in the upper floors, wandering NPCs are never coded to stop themselves from walking off ledges, so they'll wander off the edge like a Goomba, usually dying of fall damage. Guys, this is a PSA. Never work in an office. Be a YouTuber instead. Inside one of the office cubicles, you can find a new weapon lying on a desk, the Bolt ACR. The back end looking like an M16, but the front looking like a Hadron Collider. The description says the goal was to create an energy weapon that would need no reloading. They were successful, but the side effect being it's basically a portable radiation emitter. Firing the ACR will emit a cloud of blue gamma radiation a few feet in front of you that will usually kill anything that isn't armored. A gun so dangerous that it sounds like a middle-aged smoker when you fire it. Also, the gamma clouds last a while, so you can usually set it up as a kill wall for pursuing enemies. And also, because of how large the cloud is, you can fire it at a wall and it will clip through the wall and kill anyone on the other side. The problem is the clouds can hurt you though. Another staple of why this weapon never went into mass production is because test subjects ended up accidentally killing themselves. So it's best used when you backpedal when firing. It's based on the real-life Colt ACR, another experimental weapon from the 1980s. The gun would fire duplex rounds, a single cartridge with 2 bullets in it to increase hit probability. But it never went into manufacturing because it wasn't considered to be a significant improvement over the M16. But the scope of the gun was later used as an optical sight for the M145 machine gun. You can see, comparing the two models, how the Bolt ACR's barrel is just the real-life ACR's huge sight railing copy-pasted and wrapped around the gun. It's an amazing room clearer, but again, can't use it on armored enemies, and it's kind of heavy. Apart from Elsa Holmes, your targets here are the 4 heads of the office building. When your handler mentioned "fuck control," it's purposely put in all capitals. This is Control, the main hub of everything powering the economy, and each target represents that. The targets have no names, just numbers, starting with the first one.
I am fine, I shine, I am simply divine. I am the head of the HR department around here. I am feared and loved. Human resources, simple material to be formed as I please, into my own image. That's how it goes here. My dream. A large ball of human bodies rolling across vast plains, flattening everything it comes across. I would love that.
Human resources in a job aspect are usually meant to perform human resource management, like finding, hiring, and training new employees. But Control's HR is literally using humans as a resource, like gas or electricity, grinding them down to be used as pure biocurrency, someone who controls the masses. It's also definitely intentional that he has the same face model used by your landlord and the High Priest in Idiot Party. Next is number 2.
I'm a sad sack of shit. I huff and puff and suffer. I am number 2. I'm the chief technology officer of this shit show. I coordinate the code apes and make sure they're in as much pain as possible. I've been getting really into hell, both as a mindset and something to strive for, in an organizational sense. There's something really intensely beautiful about it. Dreaming is important.
Number 2 being the CTO, their job would be managing all the internal and external technology within the company. They do this with pain and suffering because it gets the best results. Even turning the concept of hell as motivation, because the worst place imaginable probably has the most productive workers, wearing a red mask to represent hell, or probably blood being shed to get what they want. Basically, the average hire-up working at Apple. Number 3 can be found in their office close by.
I am number 3. I pulsate. I laugh. I'm the Chief Security Officer. Chaos is imaginary. Time is a frigid crystal of perfect order. From any point in time, it's trivial calculate any other. There's a limited number of possible steps. I can rotate time in my head. My job is pretty pointless, as security is inherent in everything. Some disagree with me. They suck. I mostly just drink coffee and play with my guns. I can rotate time in my head. These make no sense. Am I saying these right? Are you punking me? Fucking prank.
Number 3 being the CSO means they're in charge of the company's physical and digital security. But their role is pointless because security is a part of life in this universe. Every level you've been in has been loaded with security. Police, necromechs, golems, and they don't even comment on you traversing the game and taking out their targets. Probably because Cruelty Squad, the company, is a subsidiary of Control. So if you took out a target, it's because Control allowed it, usually to grow its own shares. The realm of order in this world is so concrete that even an outlier like you is accounted for as an asset. And finally, there's number 4.
I don't really enjoy this number thing. I'm the Chief Finances Officer, but I also handle other types of asset liquidations. Oh, you work for me? Since you're here, could you deal with the others for me? I really hate this work environment. It needs a hard reset. Oh, you're here to do that? That's great! Get to it then, alright?
It's not surprising being told by a target to kill fellow employees, and also mentioning a hard reset is just him saying someone else will replace the roles of numbers and control nearly instantly. I like how you don't even need to exchange any dialogue and he already knows why you're here. Getting to these targets can be incredibly hard because they're pretty guarded. But remember when I said all NPCs will just blindly walk off ledges? You can shoot out the windows of their office and watch half of them just walk out on accident and splatter onto the pavement. Your final target, Elsa, is the hardest to reach. Going past her security up a private elevator and taking out her private security, you can finally confront the person who's arguably in charge of this entire planet. Having a unique character model with her hair white